we go.
Awesome. Yeah, then we use it as an asset.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
How's it going? What time is it there?
It is 10:30 in the night here,
Oh,
which is, yeah, it's basically just a start to my work day. I usually start at about 8 p.m. Um, so yeah,
and what
um,
time do you work until?
I do 8 to 6 is usually the schedule, and then I'll go to bed at about 7:30 in the morning. Yeah, and just wake up at 4 or 5. But okay, I'm just super excited to do this. I have been wanting to do this for so long.
Yeah,
So I'm just really, really grateful to be here, really honored to be here.
awesome. I'm glad to have you. You're a killer.
Thank you.
So I'll just so my thoughts are we just use this as an asset for marketing because you have an incredible story. So I'll just ask you some questions and we'll just go with the flow and see how it goes. So no pressure at all. I mean,
Let's,
you're a killer. You're a closer, so you can handle pressure anyways, but you
yeah,
know.
let's do it.
All right, so tell me a little bit about your story, your background, and how you found yourself to become a closer.
So I've been in sales for a while. Even before I was a closer, I was still in sales. But I was working obviously for like a company here in India, and I worked there for about 2 years. It was a great time. Learned a lot, and I realized that if I kept going at the pace that I was going, there's really no growth. Like
Yeah,
I could make the company millions of dollars, but at the end of the day, I was still getting paid the same money, like the same amount every single month.
which
And
is
that's
about how much?
$600
Okay.
a month, which
So
is
obviously rates in India are different.
yeah, it's actually 50,000 here, which is supposed to be pretty decent. Like you can live very comfortably here, but it's
Yeah,
still just wasn't enough. That's kind of when I came across Taylor and you, and I saw the memos, the monthly memos, started subscribing to them. I actually had no idea Sales Mentor existed. I was wanting to do CK. And so,
okay.
yeah, so I figured, you know what, like I don't have the money for CK, but my company does. So I can just like pitch it to them and have them do CK. And
Yeah,
that didn't work like at all. They were just like, no, we don't want to do it. It was like, okay, fine. Like I have no choice now. Um,
yeah,
that's kind of when I think that's when I even saw the SM ads and I was like, this is perfect. I can do this. Hopped on a call, I think with Gabriel back then. Um, and the rest is history. I just as soon as I hopped, like I knew I wanted to do it. Um, and I think like one thing that really made a big difference is Peyton was there somewhere and he just hopped on the call too. And I didn't have the certainty that he gave me on that call. Like I think
mm,
I don't know if he knows this, but he was a huge part of like me making that decision. So
wow.
that's just how that
So
works.
what was the scenario of your life? You're making $600 a month. What was your financial circumstance, your living circumstance? Did you have the resources to invest in yourself? Like what did that look like?
Financially, I mean, I was still pretty comfortable here because it's like with 50K you can do a lot. But I was and I am the only person to like take care of the family. So I financially like have been taking care of my parents for the last 4 years, which put me in a tricky situation because obviously there was a
Yeah,
lot of pressure. Um, I was in that position where I was like, I can either like the maximum that I could make living in India was 1 lakh, which is like $800. And I would
mm,
make that when I was 35 and I was only 24.
wow.
So I had like I had a road
Yeah,
to navigate there. So yeah, I mean, financially things were, they weren't the worst, but they weren't the best. Like I had no resources to invest in anything at all. I was almost like paycheck to paycheck because most of the money would just go into like paying for my parents and paying for the house and rent and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did it, yeah, obviously it's a big decision. That's a big investment to make, right, into yourself. How did you come up with the resources? Because a lot of people, that's what they say they want to change their life. They want to develop this skill set, right? But many of them are afraid to actually invest the money that's required to develop that skill set to get the life that they want. So how did you get to the place where it's like, I have to do this. I have to develop this skill. What was that process?
I think it was a very easy decision for me to make. I knew I wanted to do it right when I was on the call with Peyton. However, obviously there was a lot of like internal dichotomy because of external factors that played in, like my family, every single person that I talked to, including like my best friend, my partner back then, everybody was against it. Everybody was just like, this is a huge risk. You're literally the only Indian person there. Like, how is this ever going to work out? You're not even in the US.
Right.
So I think I remember that week. I think it was like easily the hardest week of my life, like up until now. Um, my my uncle, it came to a point where he was like, I'm going to fly down from wherever I am if I have to stop you to make this happen, because you're not spending
Just to join the coaching program.
just to join the program.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was my money. It wasn't even their money.
Yeah.
So, but like it's, it's very traditional here. Like you don't have access to your own money. Like your parents still handle that and stuff. So I still had to get their permission. It even came to a point where my best friend was like, you can just run away, like we'll figure it out, like elope and I'll like, borrow some money from me, stuff like a lot of different ideas. But yeah, eventually, I mean, I remember not eating for 3 days. Like that was just like a protest behavior. I was like, maybe if I do this, then they listen.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember not eating. I remember just yelling and screaming and crying and like the whole time. Anything that I could do to convince them, I tried it. And then I think on the last day, when I'd already paid the deposit without asking them, they were like, I mean, if the only two options we have are you're either going to leave or you're going to do it, you might as well do it. But we know you're not going to succeed. We know you're going to fail. You're just signing yourself up for failure. And I was like, okay, cool. It's going to be my failure. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
wow. So did you actually have the money in your bank, or what was that scenario?
So my uncle had all of the money.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically I had to jump a lot of hoops to get to him. And I had to have like my mom and my dad, everybody talk to my uncle and then convince my uncle to give me my own money. So he gave me 3/4 of it, but then I still didn't have all of the money. And so then I had a separate conversation with him being like, listen, if you can just give me like the remainder, I will pay it back. Like I will figure it out. I will even give you interest. I will pay it back.
And you were borrowing from him?
Yeah. Because
gotcha.
even with my savings, I didn't have the full amount. So I had to figure it out from somewhere. And he was like, yeah, I mean, I'm not really expecting for you to pay me back. I know this is basically just going in the drain. It's going in the dustbin, but sure. Just have at it.
That's amazing. So your belief in that, obviously you had this massive desire to change your life that we'll talk about in a second, but you came up against so much resistance with your family, literally everybody, not having all the money, but you found a way. That's pretty phenomenal. Why? Like, what was it about the conversations you had or what you saw in the opportunity that you're like, I have to do this?
I think it was mainly just that I knew I didn't want to be here. Like I knew I didn't want to be in this situation. And I'd been following Taylor for so long. I mean, easily 3 years. I talked to some people as well who were in the program. I just messaged them, and they've been seeing great results. My conversation with Gabe, I think, was also a very big factor because his personal story, I related to that a lot. He talked to me about how he used to barely make any money, and how he, like with Payton and your help, how he made the switch. And I think that was really transformational for me. So it was a lot of different things that all came together. Also because I delayed this decision for far too long. I'd had these conversations before with other people and I hadn't pulled the plug. So I was like, how much longer can I keep going just talking to people and not doing anything about it?
Yeah, that's incredible. Okay, so you got in, and was it everything that you thought that it was going to be, or what was the process for you to start winning?
I didn't really have any expectations because I had no idea how these things work, but it was way more than what I thought it would be. I genuinely thought it was like going to be like somebody just connecting me to interviews and then like me going through a portal and being taught the sales skills. But I think there was a lot more support than that. I think like with all the different coaches, like the Monday mindset and all of that stuff, I didn't expect any of it. So I think I will be honest though, I did really face a lot of challenges in the start, but I don't think anybody else would, because those were all like cultural challenges. Like there were a lot of companies who'd just be like, oh, you're from India, like we're not going to hire people from India. They have these tax laws, and some of them are just like straight up smoke screens. Like they just don't want to hire in the US. So yeah, so those cultural challenges were there, and they were there for the first 2 months. But I think because of one of the coaches.
At that point, you're talking about when you were first starting to look for gigs, like people to close for.
Yeah.
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 Wow. Okay. So how long it took you? About 2 months to find someone that was maybe a good fit?
Yes, it did. So in the second month I had 5 offers, but I had to decline them because it just wasn't aligning. But at the end of the second month, I found the one that was like hit all the boxes.
Okay, so take me through that process. Like you've been through the training, you've had some sales experience. Was that sales experience like in retail or what in India?
B2C.
Okay. So now you get on the phone with, was an American company? Were they a coaching or consulting business?
Yes.
And then what was that process for like the first couple of weeks and the calls you were taking? And was there resistance there, or did you just fit right in and start closing on day one?
So you're talking about the one that I ended up accepting, right?
Yeah.
You know, there was no resistance there at all. And I think it was because by then I'd gained the skills that I had to because of the live calls that I was attending. Like I knew my way around. And I think by then I was able to prove that like what I had learned in terms of my sales skills and my humility and just my want to learn, going to surpass like my accent.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't face any resistance there, but yeah, so that process, it was basically like 3 rounds of interviews. The first round was like, I think 40 of us in like a webinar kind of a thing. And we were each given the opportunity to ask one question. After that, it was a one-on-one with like the HR. We were asked about our sales experience, what we've done in the past, why we think we'd be a good fit, just general interview stuff. And then on the second interview, they told us that it's probably going to be a while that you're going to hear back because the pipeline is huge. People don't hear back for months usually. So just feel free to look at other opportunities. And that's where I was really scared because I'd already like declined all the other opportunities I had. So I was like, I need to figure
all your eggs in that one basket.
Yeah. Yeah, but it ended up working out. I think a week later, I heard back from them, got on to the third interview, which was a role play. And yeah, just started taking calls for them the month after.
So how many calls were you taking your first month? What was your first month's revenue and commission?
So I took 2 calls a day. I was still part-time because I was still doing my full-time as well there. I just wanted to make sure I had my bases covered like before I left the full-time
Yeah.
complete. But the first month I made $4,000. Um, pretty,
Dang. So
pretty,
that took care
yeah,
of your full-time job, huh?
yeah. I'd say that did, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, my family.
Okay, so first month you did $4,000, then what?
Second month I did 7. Third month I did 10. And then
Wow.
I kept doing I was, I think, in the 10 to 15 range after that.
So that's really life-changing money for you.
Yeah.
A young lady all the way in India, right? With like all the resistance in the world, to be making that kind of income is pretty phenomenal. So how does what was your family saying?
No, they all want to do it now. They're like, oh, I mean, it was pretty sentimental. Like my uncle flew down and cried and apologized to me, and he was like, I'm never gonna like misjudge you, and I think you did the right thing, and I'm so sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a
How did that feel?
pretty good for my ego, but but no, it
Well,
felt,
you are a closer, so
yeah, exactly. No, it felt pretty good. I'm in the process of getting my sister, who's my uncle's daughter, to become a setter as well. So I think the
mm,
family's like really wanting to now move towards like online businesses and stuff. And my uncle himself started like an Amazon business online with a US company that he never would before, ever.
wow, that's phenomenal. Wow. I'm definitely impressed by the journey and all the things that you had to go through to get to this place. So what does it feel like now to have this skill set to where you know that you really don't ever have to worry about money again? Because I mean, the skill set of being a really great sales pro, closer, whatever you want to call it, it's pretty awesome, right? So what does that feel like?
Free,
Mm,
liberating.
yeah,
Like, because it's not just about sales, like like you said, it's the skill set that I learned that I can take anywhere. I can take it into my personal life. I can take it into like a different profession if I chose to explore
yeah,
that. Yeah, it's just knowing that I never will have to go to a 9 to 5 again. It's huge for
that's
me.
awesome. So what's next for you in your journey? You started coaching with us. That's awesome.
Yeah. I think I'm really, really passionate about just giving back and coaching right now. So I'm probably gonna just be on that path for a bit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do sales, definitely, like but I think that'll take like a little bit of a backseat because I really want to explore like the coaching side, the fulfillment side, and the
Hmm.
client success side of things. Um,
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the ultimate next step for me.
That's awesome. Well, from someone who is struggling in India through all odds, became victorious, even had her family who he converted to become closers and get into the digital world. It's incredible. So really proud of you, Aditi, and can't wait to see yeah, just your future and how you continue to develop. It's incredible.
Thank you so much. I just
Anything else you wanna share or before we jump off?
um I mean, if I guess like if anybody's like listening, like future closers potentially are going to listen to this. The only thing I want to share is like, there's so many things already like around us externally that are telling us to not do something. If we are also one of them telling ourselves not to do something, we will just forever be stuck in the rat race of things. And
Mm.
the worst part of being stuck in the rat race is like eventually you learn how to be okay with it
Mm.
and you just numb yourself and you don't feel like you need to grow anymore. So the only thing that I would say is like the moment that you feel like you're kind of too big for your comfort zone and you need to step out of it, I think you should start taking steps to do that before you feel like it's okay to be in there.
Yeah, that's good. Awesome. Well, you're a killer. You're a rock star. Love what you've done and where you're going to go. And appreciate you.
Appreciate you all so much, and super excited to be here and yeah, and just see our clients crush.
Absolutely. Cool. That was awesome. That was good. You have an incredible story. I love it.
Should I stop recording or should I continue?
You can stop it.